Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I will be summarizing the storyline of the film Mission Impossible 2, which was released in the year 2000. Without further ado, let's just dive right into the plot. The film begins with a Russian biochemist named Dr. Vladimir Nekhorovich sending a message to his old friend at the IMF, John McCloy, asking him to help him enter the United States. He also wants to prevent a biochip containing a virus and its antidote from falling into the wrong hands. After bringing samples of Chimera and Bellerophon, Dmitry then meets him aboard an airplane that is mid-flight. During the flight, the pilot suddenly announces that the cabin oxygen pressure is malfunctioning. All passengers are then instructed to put on their oxygen masks. However, as most of the passengers inhale the oxygen from the masks, they immediately pass out. It turns out that the pilot is a criminal who intended to hijack the plane. Not only that, but the Dmitry on the plane is actually an agent disguised using advanced face mask technology, along with his accomplices, including their partner who is the pilot, named Hugh Stamp. They deliberately take over the plane to seize the samples. They then escape by parachuting out, causing the plane they were on to crash into the mountains and instantly killing all the passengers on board. The scene then shifts to Ethan, who is rock climbing and enjoying his vacation. Not long after, a helicopter approaches him and fires a projectile containing a pair of glasses. When Ethan puts them on, the voice of IMF mission Commander Swanbeck is immediately heard. He informs Ethan about the stolen goods and insists that Ethan must retrieve them covertly. In addition to carrying out that task, Ethan is also required to recruit a master thief named Naya Nordhoff-Hall.
Let you know where I'm going.
Furthermore, Ethan is given the freedom to choose 2 other members to join his mission. This is done so that Naya can attract the attention of Sean Ambrose, since Naya is essentially Sean's ex-girlfriend. After officially accepting the assignment from the IMF, Ethan goes to Seville, Spain to meet Naya.
Bring it to us.
The two meet when Naya is in the middle of breaking into a vehicle. However, that action is thwarted by Ethan, who deliberately sets off the alarm, causing Naya to be caught by the car's owner. Ethan then directly invites Naya to work together. However, Naya seems uninterested and simply leaves by driving off in her car. The next day, Ethan and Naya meet again on the road when the two get involved in a car racing chase. During that action, Naya nearly falls off a cliff, but fortunately Ethan manages to save her. From that moment on, Naya begins to warm up to Ethan and finally agrees to join his team. To prevent Sean from becoming suspicious of Naya's sudden appearance, Ethan arranges a plan for Naya to be arrested. That way, Sean will break Naya out of prison. Ethan also uses this opportunity to plant a tracking chip so that his team can know Naya's whereabouts wherever she is. Long story short, when Naya goes to be picked up by Sean, Ethan begins gathering the other team members. They are helicopter pilot Billy Baird and Luther Stickle, who appeared in the first film. The 3 of them then gather at a headquarters located in a remote area. At that location, there is the only computer used to monitor Naya's location via satellite. Upon arriving at Sean's residence, Naya is warmly welcomed by him, who has missed her dearly. However, in this situation, Sean's associate, Hugh Stamp, appears not to fully trust Naya, who is known to be a skilled deceiver. He warns Sean to be more cautious. Instead of heeding Hugh's advice, Sean gets angry and breaks Hugh's finger using a cigar cutter. The next day, Sean attends a horse racing venue to place bets. However, it turns out that Sean didn't just come to watch the horse races. He also meets with the owner of Biosite Pharmaceuticals, who is none other than John McCloy. During that meeting, Sean appears to show the contents of his digital camera, though what is inside it remains unknown at that point. While they are busy talking, Naya disguises herself as a waitress and hands Ethan a communication device. The device is directly linked to Ethan, who is already in the spectator area monitoring Sean's every move. Ethan then instructs Naya to steal a diskette from Sean's pocket. As Sean approaches, Naya pretends to touch him and secretly takes the diskette. After that, she asks Sean for permission to go collect betting vouchers. While getting the vouchers, Naya hands the diskette to Ethan, who is standing right behind her. Ethan immediately opens the diskette and asks Luther to copy all of its contents. It turns out that the diskette contains a recording of a scientist named Dr. Vladimir Nekhorovich, who died after being exposed to the Chimera virus. From that recording, they finally learn that the Chimera virus will cause death approximately 20 hours after a person is infected. During that time frame, only an antidote called Bellerophon can save its victims. Ethan then tells Naya to return the diskette. However, when she goes back to Sean, Naya forgets to place the diskette in the correct pocket, causing Sean to unwittingly grow suspicious of her. That night, Ethan meets Naya beside Sean's house and tells her that he cannot free her yet, because there are still more urgent matters. Ethan also orders Naya to continue following everything Sean says. However, it turns out that the Ethan who had just spoken to Naya then removes his mask. At that moment, it is revealed that the person was actually Sean in disguise. As a result, Sean finally discovers that Naya has been working with Ethan to deceive him. On the other side, John McCloy, who is driving home in his car, is suddenly kidnapped by the IMF team. John McCloy is then given a sedative injection. Sometime later, he wakes up in a room designed to resemble an isolation chamber for patients infected with the virus. John is then confronted by Dr. Vladimir Nekhorovich. This naturally shocks McCloy greatly, because he believed Vladimir had died in the plane crash. Vladimir then tells John that he has been infected with the Chimera virus. McCloy is overcome with fear and finally confesses to all his deeds. He reveals that he wanted to profit from the Chimera virus by selling its antidote. After hearing that confession, Vladimir removes his mask, and it turns out that the figure is actually Ethan. Ethan also just learns that Sean only possesses the Bellerophon antidote, while the Chimera virus samples are still in McCloy's laboratory. It's no wonder Sean was trying to get McCloy to cooperate. Therefore, Ethan and Luther devise a plan to infiltrate Biosite Pharmaceuticals and destroy all the Chimera virus samples. The next day, Ethan and Billy begin their operation. Billy flies the helicopter until they reach the roof of the facility. Thanks to their aerial maneuvering skills, the roof hatch is opened, but it can only stay open for 40 seconds. Because of that, Ethan must quickly enter the facility using a rope before the hatch closes again. After successfully getting inside, Ethan sneaks in covertly and finds that the Chimera virus is stored in 3 syringes, while 3 other samples are still in the development process. On the other side, Sean, who possesses intelligence analysis capabilities, eventually finds out that Ethan is targeting the Chimera virus. Sean immediately brings all his men, including Naya, to the facility to retrieve the Chimera virus before Ethan can destroy everything. Ethan then destroys the 3 virus samples that are still in development. After that, he proceeds to destroy the 3 samples stored in the syringes. However, just as he is about to destroy the last Chimera virus sample, he is suddenly attacked by Sean's men. Not only that, Sean's men also deliberately plant a bomb on Billy's helicopter to blow it up. Fortunately, Luther manages to survive the explosion. Inside the facility, a gunfight becomes inevitable between Ethan and Sean's men over the one remaining Chimera virus syringe. However, because the bullets being fired nearly hit the syringe, Sean immediately orders his men to cease fire to prevent the Chimera virus sample from being damaged. After that, he tells them to carefully retrieve the Chimera syringe lying on the floor. However, instead of handing the Chimera virus over to Sean or keeping it, Naya injects the Chimera virus into her own body. Sean is left bewildered and dares not kill Naya, because she is now the only person carrying the Chimera virus sample. Sean then drags Naya along, while Ethan continues to be attacked by Sean's men. Ethan tells Naya that he promises to come back and save her before 20 hours pass. After that, Ethan blows out the building's glass panel and leaps out using a parachute. The next morning, Sean lets Naya roam around Sydney so that she can spread the Chimera virus. He does this to initiate the Chimera outbreak so that he can start selling Bellerophon. Sean then proceeds with his business dealings by meeting John McCloy at a remote location. During that meeting, Sean does intend to sell the virus. But this time, what he wants is not money, but a 51% ownership stake in Biosite Pharmaceuticals so that he becomes the majority shareholder. At that moment, Sean is very confident that within just days, the Chimera outbreak will spread across all of Australia. With that, the demand for Bellerophon will skyrocket. Because he keeps being threatened by Sean, McCloy is eventually forced to comply with all his demands. In the middle of that meeting, Ethan infiltrates the location and begins displaying his skills while taking on the guards. He then blows open the meeting room door and walks straight through it. He does this deliberately to provoke Sean into chasing him. When Hugh Stamp takes the bait, Ethan and Hugh engage in a fierce fight. During that fight, Hugh manages to defeat Ethan and brings him before Sean. Sean, seeing Ethan in a helpless state, is very pleased. Without a second thought, he fires several shots at Ethan. However, moments later, Sean notices a wound on Ethan's finger and suddenly realizes that the wound is exactly the same as Hugh's, which he himself had previously caused using a cigar cutter. From that, Sean finally realizes that the IMF agent is an expert in using disguise masks. Sure enough, when Sean pulls off Ethan's face, it is revealed that the person he actually killed was Hugh Stamp. Meanwhile, the real Ethan had disguised himself using Hugh's mask and managed to escape while carrying Bellerophon. Luther and Billy then arrive at the meeting location to pick up Ethan. However, their rescue attempt is blocked by Sean's men. Before they can get far, Ethan is once again confronted by guards on motorcycles. Fortunately, Ethan manages to defeat them and seize one of the bikes. A chase between Ethan and Sean's men then begins, while Luther and Billy continue providing support from a distance. During the pursuit, Ethan demonstrates his extraordinary motorcycle riding skills. Sean keeps chasing him until the two of them arrive at the edge of a cliff. When the two face each other, both Ethan and Sean accelerate their vehicles until they collide violently. After that, a fierce fight becomes unavoidable. In that duel, Sean fights using his combat abilities, while Ethan relies on the martial arts skills he has long mastered. Thanks to his skills, Ethan finally manages to take Sean down in a very short time. Ethan then throws a final punch to finish off Sean. However, he immediately stops his attack when he sees Billy's helicopter carrying Naya. Sean, who still manages to get up, throws a knife, but Ethan swiftly grabs a pistol lying beneath him with a single kick. Ethan's skill is truly beyond question. He fires several perfectly aimed shots at Sean until Sean finally dies. Meanwhile, Naya recovers after receiving an injection of the Bellerophon antidote just before the 20-hour time limit runs out. The next day, Ethan meets Swanbeck again. He then lies about the last Chimera virus sample that was injected into Naya's body. Ethan claims that the Chimera virus sample was accidentally destroyed. Nevertheless, because Ethan and his team successfully completed the mission, Swanbeck erases all of Naya's criminal records. Not only that, Swanbeck also allows them to enjoy a vacation wherever they like. The film ends. Okay guys, that is the plot summary of the film Mission Impossible 2. Please forgive me if there are any mistakes in the delivery. The message we can take away from this film is that greed and excessive ambition will ultimately only lead to destruction. I think that's enough for now. See you in the next video.